Daniel Ward here. I'm excited to talk about this bass lesson. Everyone should know a little bit about bass if they're a ukulele player. And today we're going to cover some really simple concepts and go through all the exercises that are in the magazine. So before I start, let me just talk a little bit about some of the basses that are out there. I've only got a couple and they're a little older, but the original Kala U bass, which a lot of you may remember, is a baritone sized body and had those licorice strings on them. They're kind of hard to hear unless you plug it in, but they sound great once you got it plugged in. These strings can be really good for folks who might have had like a hand injury or some arthritis or something, because it's a lot easier to play them. But it is kind of harder not to buzz in the smaller scale. But once again, these are great, and Kala does make a lot bigger ones, and they also make ones with wound strings like this Ohana UB22 or BU22, I think it's called. And I've got wound strings on here. If I even take the pickup out, you can hear it's fairly loud just without, so you can rehearse with your friends. It's got a built-in tuner as well. And I'm going to use this one for the lesson because it's probably a little easier to see size-wise. Here's a solid body electric bass. Kala makes tiny ones of these, and then this is a Gretsch 3/4 scale, which is still huge. So just figure out what's right for your budget and what's right for the size of your hands and everything. And there's lots of good stuff out there. If you don't have a bass and you have a guitar, you can use these bottom 4 strings of a guitar are the same ones as a bass, but just an octave higher. So you can practice bass parts all day long on a guitar. And let's get right to the music, shall we? What I've decided to do is use the same chord progression over and over, and we're going to do different patterns with it. The chord progression, I'll play it on ukulele here first, this is an old song, just the chords to an old song that Elvis used to sing. And then D, E, F sharp, D, A, E7, A, then a little turnaround, B minor, E7. I'll do that again. A, E, F sharp, 2, 3, 4, D, A, E7, and then D, E, F sharp minor, D, A, E7, A, then it'll turn around, B minor 7 to E7, and it starts over again. So let's do that on bass. What happens here is I'm just going to play the roots for each one of these notes. I'm going to start with A, and A you can get open string, but I've got it at the 5th fret here. Don't worry about your technique yet, just play with your thumb or whatever, and any finger will do. I'm on the 5th fret. I like to do this because sometimes if you're playing an open string and you play another note, it'll ring against it. So this is nice. It goes right to the next one. So A, then an open E, because that's the lowest note on the bass, F sharp minor, and we don't care whether it's major or minor, we're just going to play the root. Then D, 5th fret, A, 5th fret, down to E open again. Now we're going to start on the open D, then E, 2nd, F sharp on the 2nd string this time, then back to the 5th fret, D, A, E, A. Now we're going to go 7/7 on this, B, E. If you count in time, it's going to sound like this, A, 2, E, 2, F sharp minor, 2, 3, 4, D, A, E, 2, 3, and then D, E, F sharp, D, and A, E7, A, B, E7, back to the beginning of that. Nice and easy. And if you just play those notes and other people are playing the chords, it'll sound great. That's kind of all you have to do to have a good bass part. Reading bass means bass clef. You don't have to read to be a good bass player. You can just read the chord symbols and know what to do. or even a cowboy chart and just play those notes. But if you do want to learn how to read bass clef, it's fairly easy. If you know treble clef at all, like the E on the very bottom of the staff, all you have to do is jump a third, and that E becomes a G in bass clef. That's the way I think about it. So if you go up to the F, that would be an A. Up to the G, that would be a B. Just, it's a third difference, okay? Let's go on to the second exercise. And this one is, we're going to play the fifth above. So every chord has a root, third, fifth, sometimes a seventh, and sometimes even ninths and that kind of stuff. But if you just play the root and the fifth, you get a nice bass line. You hear it in country music a lot. I'm going to outline. Here's a D. And that's just using the root and the fifth. In this case, I'm going to take the fifth above. This is example 2. And we're going to play A. That's for the A chord. And then the fifth above. Then we're going to play the E, which is going to be open to F sharp minor. Once again, we can just use the normal fifth, so we don't have to worry about whether it's minor or major when we play just fifths. Now here's 2, 4, and that's twice as long. Now here comes the D, D, A, E, and the E7. Now we're going to go open, E, F sharp minor, D, A, E, A, and then B minor 7, E7, back there again. So that's, if you do all this all the time, it sounds a little plotty, I must say, but it's good practice. A, bum, E chord, now the F sharp minor for 4 beats, bum, 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 and here comes the D, E, F sharp, D, and A, E7, now A. Okay? Get good at that one. You don't have to do it fast, you just have to know where you are so you get used to it. When you do read a chord chart, you can play the note and then go to the next note and play the note in the fifth. And then hang out there. Play the fifth. Now let's just play root, root, and then the fifth. So you can choose to play just the root or the root and the fifth, and suddenly your lines will have a little bit more flow to them. And you can improvise them basically by just looking at a chart. Let's go to example 3, and this one is playing roots and fifths again, but this time we're going to go down to get the fifth, which means going down a fourth. It's a little weird when you think of it first, but if I go up a fifth, then I get an E, and if I go down a fourth, I'll also get an E, okay? So this is example 3. It's going to be 5 open for the A. Now we're going to jump to the third string and go 2, 2 for the E chord, and now F sharp minor, 4, 4. You notice all these are in the same fret. Now we're going to go D, D, A, now E. That's the way fourths work. They go straight across because that's the way the bass is tuned. Now here's the D, open, whoops, sorry, and then E, and then F. Once again, it's a little plotty sounding, but if you put them together and you play roots and fifths, and now you can choose to either get the root above or the fifth above or the fifth below, you can make the line sound a lot more interesting. Same chord progression, A, E. Now let's go F sharp minor, down, now D, up to the fifth, and then A, and then E7, E, and then down a fourth again. I just jumped an octave, so I'm using all the notes I know with just roots and fifths. So knowing that, we're going to move to example 4. This one is all about knowing which note you're on with your bass. So the center of the world sometimes in ukulele is C. Your C on a bass is on a third string, 3rd fret. 3, 3. Kind of like the C chord is on the 3rd fret. Just think right there you go. And we're going to learn to play the C, then the 5th above, which is always just 2 frets over there on the next string. And if we go up the 4th, we're going to get another C. This is the 4th below that C. And now you see the relationship. There you go. Lots of beautiful music is just use those even on just one chord. Could do that for hours. But what we're going to do is play up and down. And here's how the exercise goes. It just goes root 5th, root 5th, back. Then I'm going to move around the circle of 5ths this time. We're going to go up to G, add a sharp. This is key of G. Here's a G, 3rd fret. Guess what? It's the same exact shape and patterns. And then we find our D, 5th fret. Then A, right below that, 5th fret. Now we're going to do E, which is all the way down to using the open string. Next comes B, 2nd, G flat, and you can also call this F sharp, 2nd fret. Now D flat, which is also C sharp, the note, is going to be the 4th fret, right above C. Now we're going to go to A flat, which is same fret as that, but just up a set of strings. E flat goes all the way up to the 6th. B flat, you can do 6 as well, or I have it written here as 1. Using those. Once you get used to it, you can really jump around pretty easily. F, there's F there. You could also do F way up here. And then that was it. We went all the way around all 12 notes. So once you get used to where the root is here, you can find it an octave higher real quickly, and you can zip through the 5th and 4th backwards and make up bass lines that way. Okay? Now going back to the chord progression we used, let's take this one. We're going to learn how to do the triad. And we're going to outline the chord. This is the A chord. A major. This is going to be A, C sharp, E. And you don't have to know what the notes are necessarily, but you have to know what the pattern is. So you put your 2nd finger on the root. This is A. And then your 1st finger, next string over, on the major 3rd. And it's just 1 fret, 1 string over. And then plop your pinky on the 7th fret there. So this is going to be 5, 4, 7, 4, 5. Doesn't really matter what those fret numbers are. If I move this around, I get a major triad. Okay? Now, a minor triad, let's go right to the F sharp, because that's the minor chord in this key. Put your 1st finger on the 2nd fret, and we're going to get the minor on the same string. So it's going to be 2, 5. Now use your ring finger to get the 5th. So it's root, minor 3rd, 5th, minor 3rd, root. And once you know those 2 patterns, you can kind of play just about any song that you want to with this. Some weirder chords that have flat 5s and stuff, and all you have to do is move the 5th 1 fret back to hit those. But you're never really going to see those too quickly unless you start playing a lot of jazz. In this case, let's just take this A major. Now we're going to go E, and this one starts on the 7th fret. Now let's go to the F sharp minor. This one, rather than all the way down to the 2nd fret, we're going to start at the 4th. But still the same pattern. So it's index, pinky, ring, pinky. You hear the difference? Boom, 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 boom. If that was a major chord, I'd be doing it with my 2nd finger in that other configuration. So all you have to know really is major and minor. The major starts with your 2nd finger and then jumps a string. The minor starts with your 1st finger and stays on the same string for the 3rd, but they both end up on the 5th. Okay? So let's play an example 5 here. This is going to be A, then E, F sharp minor. Now I jump the octave all the way down. Now D, then to A, then to open string. That's a little different with the open, but I'm going to jump up and do it the same way here. D, E on the 7th, F sharp minor, D, and then A, E7. Now right here at the end, it's going to go B minor, so it's going to be that first finger, pinky, and then go to the major, second finger first. But we're going to skip the 5th because it's only 2 beats. And I end on an octave there. That's A open and A there. So that last line, E7, here's A, and the B minor, E7. That sounds pretty cool, actually. Let's hear that whole line again. And E, F sharp minor, octave down, D, A, E7. Then the D, E, F sharp minor, D again, A, B, and that's E7, then A. Oh, that's starting to sound like a real bass line. Now, those are very contrived once again. The best thing to do is going to be put these all together. So, example 6, watch what happens here. I'm going to take the A. This time I'm going to introduce you to the E over G sharp chord. Now if you've never seen one of these before, or if you have seen them and you wondered what the heck is the slash with the G sharp under, it means that it's an E chord. So I'm going to play E chord, but G sharp is in the bass, which is actually the major third. Bum, bum, bum. So it's actually an E there, even though I'm playing G sharp. And this is what's in the original song, actually. Figure out if you know what this song is later on. But here we go, A, G sharp. Now here's the minor. Did you hear all that? We did A, 2, G sharp, just straight playing the roots through. Now F sharp minor. We're going to do the arpeggio. We're going to outline the F sharp minor, then D. When we hit the 5th of D, that's actually A. And we just jump the octave down. Boom. And that's kind of cool. Let me play that whole line. Boom, boom. Now, the next line starts on D, and we're going to go D over F sharp. So this is the D chord, and then we're going to jump E up to the 5th, and then F sharp, down a 4th, and then D, up, A, and then E. Oh, sorry, I'm going to A on the 2nd fret, E, A, and then turn around there. So that's a lot of different tab there. I suggest taking that super slow like I just did and reading it like I'm doing. And the last line sounds like this. F sharp, then E, and F sharp, D, A, E, and then A, then the turnaround. And that's a lot of cool sound for just some easy changes, okay? If you take it really slow and you just pay attention to what you're doing, you'll be able to make up your own bass lines quite quickly. Alrighty? So I'm going to go on to the rest of the lesson. 2 more things for you. One of them is a blues. I think it's important that people learn how to play sort of a walking bass line blues, and what we're going to do is use to outline the arpeggio once again, but we're going to go all the way up. 1, 3, 5, 6, flat 7. So we're going to outline a dominant chord this time. 1, 3, flat 5, 6, 7, dum. And you've heard this before. Got a little buzz in there. Oh well. And I'm just going to play through A7. Same pattern, D, and then the A. Now notice I'm starting to walk here, index, middle, and if you can, actually get the feel of playing through and landing on the string below. It's called rest stroke, and it'll give you a really nice walking feel. And when you hit the bottom string, just act like there's another string behind it, okay? So here's the blues. And D7. And A7. And D7. And A7. I'm going to do something right here. I hit a little half step there, all. Now, if you play a line and you hit a half step on the last beat before the next chord, it's a great way to play through blues and jazz changes. In that case, I came up with A7. So half step below. And this D7, once again, I'm playing an A flat. So if you hit a half step above or below the root of the next chord, it sounds cool. Here's an example. Let me play A. I'm going to do it every time. Here comes the E. Works like magic, okay? So that's your blues, and you just work on that till you get some speed going. A lot of times you'll hear, I'll try and sing that line. That's just a straight boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. E7, boom, 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 boom. Okay, so you get the idea. Go have fun with that. One more thing before I let you guys go. This is an alignment drill, and for bass, which is a little bit bigger in the frets sometimes, this is kind of an important feel thing to get used to. Playing with your thumb above the neck is really hard with bass, so you're going to have to get used to the idea of just using it as a vice. Basically your thumb, and you see the middle two fingers there? Put your hand around and put index, middle, ring, and pinky on 5, 6, 7, and 8. And just wrap around. You can even feel the neck at the bottom here just curl, and then put your thumb behind just like that, like a vice. The middle two should be kind of straight up and down, and these two should be at an angle. I've done this on a couple other uke lessons. It works great for any string instrument that has frets for sure. And what you want to do is go right on the fingertips. These guys are straight up and down, and these two have a little bit of an angle to them. So if you took them on and off, it looks like a little crab looking at you. But basically you just move slowly up the neck, change strings, and then get right next to the fret and play lightly and don't get any buzzes. If you're doing it wrong, you'll hear. You'll get a lot of that. So right on the tips of your fingers, and it won't take much pressure if you're doing it right. And no thumb. Look what happens if I try to play my thumb. This all goes totally sideways, and it gets really hard, and it takes your tendon out. So nice and easy, straight up and down, thumb behind. And you can use the walking bass. Alrighty, so I hope you enjoyed your bass lesson, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.